Internal Revenue Service IRS tax news. IRS reminder. Taxpayers can get an extension to October 15th to file taxes. IR 2020-153, July 14th, 2020, Washington. The Internal Revenue Service today reminds taxpayers that they have until the postponed due date of July 15th, 2020 to file an extension for their 2019 federal tax return. The extension gives a taxpayer until October 15th to file, but taxes owed are due by July 15th. So the scenario here, once again, we have the 2019 tax returns usually due in 2020 by April 15th, deadline then being pushed out because of the coronavirus situation to July 15th. So tax returns are due on July 15th, but usually you have the ability to take an automatic extension if you so choose. You still have that opportunity, but the extension still only goes to the normal end date, which is October 15th. So if you can't file your tax return for 2019 by July 15th, you want to file the extension so that you have an extension of time until October 15th in order to file. By doing so, you will not be avoiding any kind of payment penalty, but you will be possibly getting removing any kind of late filing fee. So what happens here then, and notice again, the IRS, I would look at the July 15th deadline as the IRS basically saying, we're really going to do everything we can to try to put everything back online as of this date. So they've pushed out some deadlines to that date, including filing deadlines as well as payment deadlines for 2020 estimates. So there might be some people that are just like a little overwhelmed by this date in terms of the filing that they need to do as well as the payments that they need to make as of that time period as well. So what you want to do is make sure that if you can't pay by July 15th, you don't just not file, because you want to at least get the extension to avoid any further penalties. So what you want to do is you want to file the tax return if you can. If you cannot, file the extension, and then it's going to say that do you need to make a payment with the extension. Now, if you're like a W-2 employee and you paid your taxes with your W-2 wages during 2019 and you expect a refund, then the extension is just going to delay the time, and you don't have to do anything. That you could just extend the filing, and that'll avoid the penalty for the late filing penalty. But if you owe money, then you're going to still need to pay it. If you cannot pay it, then you may want to look into it. You could do the tax return and or go on an extension, and then think about putting together basically a payment plan in order to make payments to the IRS to remove any kind of collection items and penalties and interest. So there's two penalties and interest you want to avoid, in other words. One related to late filing, one related to the payments. And so you avoid the one for the late filing for the 2019 tax return by either filing or filing the extension, which the extension takes it out to October. You remove the payment penalty by either paying when it happened. Basically, you would have paid in 2019, or if anything is due at this point, you may still have some late payment penalties if that's the case, but you pay it now to avoid any further penalties and interest on the payment. If you can't do those things, if you can't make the payment, then you want to still file and see if you could set up a installment agreement of some kind. Back to the text. The July 15th due date generally applies to all taxpayers who have an income tax filing or payment deadline falling on or after April 1st, 2020 and before July 15th, 2020. Taxpayers and tax professionals should continue to use electronic options. So they're really pushing the electronic options here. The IRS encourages taxpayers to file electronically. Doing so, whether through e-file or IRS Free File, and there's links to those e-file and IRS Free File here, reduces tax return errors, has the tax software does the calculations, flags common errors, and prompts taxpayers missing information. From Free File Fillable Forms means there's a free option for everyone. So if you're looking to fill out your tax returns, you can check out the IRS Free File. There's a link to that here. That's more like a software option. You have to have your income below a certain level in order to use it, but it'll give you some of those options, like an interview process, and help you with the calculations for it. And so that might be a way to go. What you want to look into, however, is with any software you're using and tax preparer, make sure that they can do the state taxes that you may be necessary to do as well, because if you may not have a state income tax requirement to file, but if you do, then it's nice to do the two things at the same point in time. The free file fillable forms is a little bit more difficult. You have to have a bit more understanding of the tax to do that, but it is a free option. And if you want to put in the time to do it, and you can learn a bit about the tax code, all the instructions are there to do that. So you could look into that. Although again, even tax professionals for small returns typically will use some kind of software. The other option, of course, is the paid software like an H&R Block or a TurboTax from Intuit, the owner of QuickBooks. Those are going to be an interview type process, so they can help you to kind of walk through the interview process. But of course, you have to pay for that, and that would be like low income to mid income range. Normally, people would be using that. And then if you get up a higher income range, or if you just want tax advice, then you'd want to look for a tax professional. I would typically think about looking for a tax professional then that you expect to be with for some time, not just someone that's going to fix this immediate need of the tax return right now, although that might be something you need. But if you're going to hire someone, you might want to hire someone that's going to help you out as you grow, to be there with you if there's any problems basically going forward with the IRS. Back to the text. Here's how to get an extension of time to file. Individual taxpayers who need additional time to file beyond the July 15th deadline can request a filing extension October 15th in one of two ways. Filing Form 4868, there's a link to that form here, through their tax professional, tax software, or using Free File on IRS. So if you have a tax professional doing it, then they're probably asking you at this point, hey, do you need to file an extension? And you might want to do that from them, but they might actually charge you because the software charges for it. So you could actually do it by filling out the Form 4868 or using the Free File, which would be free, to do it that way. The most difficult part about the extension is if you have a payment. Typically, it's a really easy form to set up other than that, and the payment is an estimate. So if you don't owe any money, really easy, you just file the extension, no problem. If you owe money, then you're going to have to estimate how much you think you owe so that you can pay it and then make an estimated payment at that point in time. And that's how you'd work it out. So submitting an electronic payment with Direct Pay, electronic federal tax payment system, or by debit, credit card, or digital wallet, options are selecting Form 4868 or extension as the payment type. The automatic extension of time to file will process when taxpayers pay all or part of their taxes electronically by the July 15th due date. So you can make the payment here using these options, the direct pay, electronic federal payment, the debit. And when you do that, then you're going to select the Form 4868, and then that'll basically apply out the extension as well. So you could do it through the electronic payment options. Just make sure that you're selecting the proper form, 4868, the extension form. Back to the text. Businesses that need additional time to file income tax returns must file Form 7004, application for automatic extension of time to file certain business income tax information and other returns. There's a link to Form 7004 here. IRS.gov assistance. Taxpayers may find answers to many of their questions using the Interactive Tax Assistance, the ITA, a tax law resource that works using a series of questions and responses. IRS.gov has an answers for frequently asked questions. The IRS website has tax information in Spanish, Chinese, Korean, Russian, Vietnamese, Haitian, and so on for electronic payment options. Those languages for electronic payment options. And there's links to those languages here. There'll be a link to this in the description.